Sorry. uh, okay. Hey. Okay, this could be an interesting one tonight, whenever you watch it. Because basically, this is my overview review of a few graphic novels I got recently, and thriller. I've got a lisp on my TNHs, so you know what I mean. Anyway, that was a 1984-85 series written by Robert Loren Fleming and predominantly drawn by Trevor Von Eden. So we'll look through that first. But the reason why I said it'd be interesting, tonight's episode is brought to you by the power of rum, because I've got to save my pennies because I've got a week's holiday with my daughter in about a week's time, so I've got to be good. So I'm drinking at home tonight, which is dangerous. And this is my I had a few before remembering I need to do this episode. So here we go. Wish me luck. So anyway, we'll start with thriller, and this is the first issue. I've sealed it up. I've really not thought this through, but here we go. I'll look back in this and I'll cringe tomorrow. But yeah, this is Thriller, so absolutely amazing cover. Seriously, why this has never been collected, I don't know. But like I said, the main artist was Trevor Van Eden, who also did. He was one of the with Tony Isabella. He created Black Lightning. And he also did a series in the 80s, a Green Arrow miniseries with Count Vertigo, which if you can find, do hunt it out, it's really good. But his artwork is amazing. He was way before his time. Like I said, this was done in the early mid 80s. And basically, just got to show you this before I carry on. This is an assassin in one of the early first episode called Scabbard. And the cool thing about Scabbard is, if I can find it, he has a sword, but he keeps it in a scabbard. In a scabbard. Yeah, is it? I don't know. But he keeps it in his back, so when he needs it, he pulls it out. But as you can see, he pulls it out and. Yep, he cuts that guy's head off, but I won't say anymore because it will give it away. But the artwork alone is worth the price of buying it. I do recommend looking for it on eBay. I got the full set for about, I think it was about £15, something like that. I was quite lucky. I haggled a bit to get it. Because like I said, the artwork is amazing. I love it as well when you look at comics from the 80s, these advertisements for other comics. I want to get that. It's like, I mean, come on. He was the best ever Green Lantern artist, Dave Gibbons. I could go off on tangents quite a lot tonight because I'm a bit tipsy. But, yeah. Anyway, but, yeah, Thriller basically, it's about this woman called Thriller. Surprise, it's nothing to do with Michael Jackson. And I guess the closest, but it's like a modern version of a Doc Savage or a Shadow pulp novel. So basically, she gets together these. I think they're called the 7 seconds. So she gets these 7 people to work with her, and they've all got different unique skills. I'll just find another one. I mean, just again, the artwork is just fantastic. Trevor Van Eden, I think he burnt brightly too soon. I think today, if he came out, he'd be held up in the same esteem as. It'd be held in the same breath as Frank Miller. Trying to think of modern ones, Arthur Adams and people like that. His page layout was just fantastic. It very much had a feel of Alex Toth, to him. Alex Toth, whatever. Oh my god, remember those cartoon ads? It's very distracting. And the writer was Robert Llewellyn Fleming. I don't know if he's still alive or not. I can't remember what else he did. I think he did the Sword of the Atom, if I'm remembering rightly. But like I said, the artwork is fantastic. I mean, just look at this cover. So simple and yet so powerful. I'm only quickly going. I said I'm going to do a deep dive, but I'm a bit smashed, so it's not going to be a deep dive. But anyway, some more pages. I'm going to regret this. But it's just so dramatic. The writing's quite strange. It's good, but it's almost dreamlike how he writes. It's very art. I guess call it hyper-real, where they don't. Everything's spoken in effect. It's all very affected, but it works for this kind of story because it's very. The story itself is very, very trippy. The protagonists are trippy. Like there's this guy here. I've only read the first issue. Again, I did have the series originally years and years ago, back in the 80s, but I never got the last one. It's very trippy though. There's one guy, which is this guy here. I've forgotten his name, but he lives in a car, and he's got all his computer database and everything in his car. I mean, like I said, this is in the 80s, so very forward thinking. And there's this other guy here, Love 107 Seconds, and he's a priest, but he's a clone, and he's a 7-foot clone, I think, or is he 9 foot, something ridiculous like that. So he's like, basically like if they took the Captain America project and took it further and made like this super soldier who was a giant, but he turned to the priesthood, and that's this guy, and Scabbard again. It's just absolutely amazing. Anyway, moving on to the next. This cover, great. I'll skip this one because I want to go to this one. As I can. It's my episode, my show. I can do it. This character is called Cain Creole. Now I wonder who they were referencing there, but yeah, very big tip of the hat to the king himself, Elvis. I mean, it's just so trippy. It's fantastic. They do. I just love it. The 80s, DC in the 80s was just so brilliant. They just took risks and chances. They don't. Comics, even indie comics, are very tame compared to what we had in the 80s and 90s. Comics are great still. I love what's coming out, but like DC now, it's too much Batman, and I love Batman, but too much a good thing, and you feel bloated reading it. I miss variety and risk taking. I miss Vertigo. Vertigo was amazing. Black Label's okay, but it's just superhero still. In a mature dressing. The line work is so simple, and yet at the same time so detailed. So yeah, even a kind of Elvis is one of the 7 seconds. I mean, that cover is just amazing. I'll skip that one because I can. Oh God. Oh, pardon me. And I think that's not Elvis, but an Elvis impersonator. Again, with it, he managed to get likenesses so well, convey so much in simple line work. It's it's deceptively detailed. And I think that's a tip of the hat to old Bruce Lee. But yeah, I do recommend reading it. I can't explain it because I don't want to explain too. It's another series I wish to bring in a compendium or an omnibus, Blue Devil. I used to love that. I don't want to give too much away because it is worth hunting out. It is available if you look on eBay, but it looks so nice in a book. Another series I'd love to see come back, or to get. There's 2 more series I'd like from the 80s. 3 more series. Vigilante by Marv Wolfman, which is like a spin-off of New Teen Titans. I'd love to see Omega Men, the original Omega Men, not the Tom King one, but the original one in a omnibus, and also Night Force by Marv Wolfman. I didn't buy it. I couldn't buy that for it. It took me years to buy that one because I was terrified by one of the issues. I think he had 666 or something on, because I was from a very religious background when I was a teenager. So anything with 666 now like freaked me out, big style. But now I wish I had it. So I think that'll be another one I'll be hunting for on eBay. But yeah, the artwork is just amazing. Now it changes after number 8. There's only 12 issues, so it changes to Alex Nino. I think he was an Argentina artist. He's still alive, but he must be in his 90s now. He's very different to Trav Van Eden, but I'm kind of glad that they got somebody who's different. But again, he's still very unique, like Trav Van Eden. So he's still got a quirky sensibility what other artists don't have. So the transition is really, really smooth, as you can see here. And this cover is just fantastic. Again, like I said, that's by Alex Nino. And that's another cover. I'm going to jump straight to the end. I'm just going to put my fan on. It's hot with its alcohol sweats. Look, I'm not going out. I'm allowed to drink if I'm not. Does that make sense? I'd be drinking if I was going out, but never mind. Anyway, this is the last issue. I'm not going to go through this much because I've never ever read this. I have the 12th issue. Just show a bit of Alex Nino's artwork again. He's on a par with Trevor Von Eden. It's just a different style, but like I said, in a weird kind of way, it blends quite well. But I do recommend it. I recommend looking for a lot of the 80s comics from DC, and also the 80s Epic line from Marvel, especially Epic Illustrated, which was like their version of Heavy Metal magazine. Again, Marvel now, I get quite a few Marvel comics now, don't get me wrong, but it's like they're scared of offending or upsetting or they've lost their edge. DC still have it up to a point, but both are so interested in getting movie deals and TV series that comics getting quite bland. So I mean, if I want a bit of grit, I'll normally tend to look to Image or AWA or Vault, Boom, places like that. Now, this is another eBay purchase, and I had the original comic when it first came out back in the 90s and the early 2000s, and this is Beg the Question by Bob Fingerman. Now, this only cost me £6, I think, £5, yeah, £6, free postage. So it's readily available on eBay, and I do recommend it. It's quite a chunky book, and it's a nice hardback. It's one of the best. I love slice of life if it's done well. So I love things like Hate, Buddy Bradley by Peter Bagg. I love the whole Love and Rockets series. So I love Jaime Hernandez and Gilbert Hernandez, and things like Daniel Klaus, where it's realistic but there can be a slight weird slant to it. So, and Joe Sacco, people like that. I love anything like that where it's slice of life but done well. And what I like about this one, it's kind of autobiographical but done in, it's kind of like fictionalized autobiography. So it's about a cartoonist, so it's like what Stephen King does. When Stephen King does a lot of novels, his main protagonist is normally always an author, because you write what you know, and he knows what an author does. And it's same with this guy. So Bob Fingerman, writes about this guy. What's the guy called? Yeah, Rob Hoffman. So basically, it is him, and about him and his girlfriend Sylvia Fanucci. And Rob Hoffman's a struggling cartoonist. And is it this? Yeah, so it's basically about their relationship, but this was kind of prophetic because they also have a flatmate who's this, I think is another artist. Is it this? I think he's a Jewish guy. Rob Hoffman's Jewish and his girlfriend's Italian. Um, and so Rob Hoffman and his girlfriend, she's quite highly sexed, so they have got really good sex life, and it doesn't. Well, just said it doesn't hold anything back. It shows them doing what couples do. Why not? Well, I forgot to cover that one up. Anyway, but but the friend, I forgot what he's called now. Yeah, so Rob Hoffman's partner, she's bisexual, so she's a very free spirited girl, and he's got so much paranoia and anxiety, but somehow they just work. You're not going to find opposites attract. But like I said, the guy who lives with them, I'm just going like that to cover up the read bits. This guy here, their flatmate, he was like the precursor to it. This before incel was even on it, but he's like an incel but without the violent tendencies. So he's very frustrated. He's not had a relationship. I don't know if he's ever had one, but he's not had one for a long, long time. And so he gets his he gets his kicks, his satisfaction from listening in on their quite loud love life. But yeah, so that comes. So it's very New York humour. It's kind of like a more up. It's kind of like if you spliced Wes Anderson with Woody Allen with a bit of the Hernandez brothers thrown in, and sped it up a bit. It's that kind of thing. The dialogue is just great. But yeah, so he works for he does comic strips, but for like a porn magazine and things like that. But so it takes away all the glitz and the glamour, but the artwork is just fantastic. It takes away all the glitz and glamour of working in the comic industry. It shows you how it really is. No, can't really show that one because that's 2 intimate pages. Very intimate. But it's an adult book for adults. It's not for kids at all. It's not trying to be. It's not trying to cater for everybody, which makes it refreshing. Just quickly show you some more pictures of it. Again, this is next on my list to read. I'm just present reading my weekly comics. If you want me to show you what I get on like a monthly basis in comics, do let me know because I'll happily show you what I get. But yeah, I do recommend that. It's called Beg the Question by Bob Fingerman. Now there is a bigger book that's come out called Maximum Beg the Question, which also contains stuff he did later on with the same characters, but it's quite pricey. This, like I said, is the earliest storyline, and you can pick this up for a very reasonable price from a lot of private sellers on eBay. But I do recommend it. Bob Beg the Question by Bob Fingerman from Fantagraphic Books. It's good. It's very, very good. Like I said, I read it years ago, and I can still remember it quite clearly, which is the sign of a good book. Now, if you remember, a while ago, I went through some books that mean a lot to me, and I also went through one about multiversal, one of the first multiversal stories. What wasn't from Marvel or DC? And that was Luther Arkwright. Well, he's brought up. There's a new book, a new adventure of his called The Legend of Luther Arkwright. To start with, look at that. That is just gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful packet binding. Nice solid but like a leather effects cover, nice and sturdy. I love the gold embossment. It's almost like you're holding a hymn book. And that's the inner pages. But unlike, he's gone back to, so he's kind of like skipped what he did with the second series, which was colour, and he's gone back to doing it in black and white. But it's a lot lighter in tone. So his first black and white series was quite dense in the cross action and line work what he did, whereas this one, it's much more freer. Again, I've got to be a bit careful with this because it is a science fiction story for adults, so it doesn't hide any punches or hold any punches. Not ready yet with this one. I need to really basically book a few days and I'm just focused on this because it's Brian Talbot. He's an excellent writer, excellent artist, but he doesn't dumb it down for you, so you've got to concentrate on what you're reading because, like I said, it deals with a lot of multiverses, so there's a lot of jumping about from different realities. So here I'm just going to show you a few bits of artwork. Could you show that page? I don't want to show you the other one because it's a bit graphic. This is really nice. I'd say he's the closest thing the UK's got to Mobius. He's that good. He's the way he brings like almost a cosmic aspects. He does Luther Arkwright, but he's also done things like The Tale of One Bad Rat, which was set in the Lake District, about a young girl who it tied in the story of this young girl and Beatrix Potter, and also an undercurrent, a quite challenging story of abuse. Very, very impactful, and I do recommend it. He also did a story called Alice in Sunderland, about Alice in Wonderland and the history behind that. And he's also done another series of books called, I forgot what they're called now, but it was anthropomorphic, so all the characters are animals, but like human animals. Like a detective series, like a steampunk detective series. Granville, I think it was called. Again, well worth checking out. It's on my list to get next. But just again, quite graphic. So, but as you can see, it's a bit the art style. He's kind of freed himself up a bit. He's not obsessing about cross section and getting as much detail as possible to tell the story. So it makes it looks a bit easier to read, to be honest. Because I love the first Luther Arkwright adventure, but it is a real challenge because it's dense in writing, dense in the artwork as well. Whereas this, he's learned as you grow up, as you get older, and you do more work, you find what you need and what you don't need, and that is amazing, and that is what he's done. So yeah, Legend of Luther Arkwright out now. Chunky book. I love that. That's one of my catchphrases, isn't it? But it's only £20, and you can get it from online sellers for about £5 less. It cost me about £15 when I bought it. The last book I'm going to mention today is one I got about 2 weeks ago. Black Label book, Suicide Squad by Brian Azzarello, who did 100 Bullets, did a really good run on Hellblazer, and he just makes me happy because to see him on Twitter with Stephanie Phillips, who's one of my favourite writers on DC at the moment, and they just seem just cool, really cool people. So, get Joker, and the artist Alex Maleev, who did Daredevil with Brian Michael Bendis, and he's doing Pearl. Is he doing Pearl? No, that's the other one. But he's done quite a bit with Brian Michael Bendis, and he's got that almost like photorealistic style. So yeah, so Black Label, it's stories about DC characters, but not necessarily canon, not necessarily set in continuity. So this is a Suicide Squad tale, but it features Red Hood, who you don't normally see, and being Brian Azzarello, it'll be a good crime comic. I've not read it yet, but I know it'll be good. I've not ever been disappointed by Brian Azzarello. He's a bit like the there's three writers who came out roughly around the same time who I know if I'm going to buy something by them, they're going to be good. And it's him, Ed Brubaker, and Brian K. Vaughan, who does Saga. Ed Brubaker, of course, does loads of stuff with Sean Phillips, did Criminal, and he's doing like original crime graphic novels now from Image. But yeah, the artwork alone is worth the price. But yeah, I'm a sucker for a good Suicide Squad story. I used to love the old ones by John Ostrander, and I've forgotten who the artists were, but there's quite a few artists on it. So if you ever see them, or what I do recommend for reading the old Suicide Squad stories, the 80s ones, is getting the DC app, which I've got. Saves you pennies. Because you don't want to get everything in book form. You just want to experience the story sometimes. And it is a good way of reading old comics from the 80s and 70s and 90s. I'm pleased with it. Just look at that artwork though, amazing. I think there's about 160 pages in this. They come out in these Prestige Plus formats, so it's a big. So Prestige Plus, comics like that, Prestige Plus is like that, and it's just a bit very like European album. So it makes the reading experience much more enjoyable because it's like a landscape book, and that's the book without the sleeve. So really nice. So yeah, that's what I've got recently that I thought, wow, these are really good. And this is my friend, we'll call him Rum, because that's what it is. And I know I'm going to regret this in the morning, but I've done it. And what can you do? Can't go out, so I've got to save my pennies, so I might as well do this. I shall hopefully do another one next week. If not, it'll be about 2 weeks because I've got my daughter for a week and we're going for days out, so she comes first. Anyway, hope I've not waffled too much and I hope I've made sense with what I said because my head is very fuzzy with the help of rum. But rum is very nice. I do recommend. Comics, music and rum go well together, trust me. Oh yeah, that's what I want to say. Not music, comics related, but music related. If you've never heard of a group called Superorganism, check them out. 2 albums out, they've got a new one out called Worldwide Pop, and it's the most feel-good music you can hear. It's just so good, and I love it. I love anything that's got like a bubblegum pop kind of feel to it. Like I love the Archies. what can I say? Anyway, I don't know why I'm saying that, but anyway. So I'm gonna go bye before I say anything else. Bye.